Morning, everyone. Welcome. This is Joe Scarice, founder and creator of the Creative Birth Strategies House and now podcast live on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, uh, YouTube Live, Facebook Live. We're really getting ourselves out there. I'm really excited about being here with my colleague, Yardell Perkins, and the moderators. Um, we're offering now live events. We're offering educational tools and insights and strategies for what we're doing here on this great clubhouse room that we started several years ago, and we're just expanding upon it, working with so many real estate professionals off of this platform, which is amazing. Really getting into it. For some of the people that thought I was going to be in Denver, I had a thing that I had to take care of personally, which could not allow me to be there this weekend. But I will be in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Realty 411 event. Very excited about that as well. We'll have that April 13th. So please keep in mind, this is another great site to go follow us on and Creative Birth Strategies podcast site. If you were interested in being interviewed or being part of our podcast, or being a sponsor, I want to thank our sponsors this morning, of course, Yardell Perkins of Perkatech, our social media strategist, Abstract National, our nationwide title company, MB Capital, referral partner with unsecured business lines of credit, and Realty 411, and as well as Landmark Capital, which is one of your larger asset-based lenders providing asset-based lending for real estate professionals in the long-term and short-term financing space. So the subject today, which I think is kind of ties into what's going on into 2024, is strategies to enjoy your real estate business. But first, I always like to go over just things that have gone on during the week. I think it's important to kind of get caught up with some things just to see how it's impacting you, how it's impacting the market. I think that's important. You got to stay proficient. So we're here to provide education and networking and strategy. If you'd like to raise your hand, please, by all means, raise your hand up. Come on up because there's no bad questions. So I want to make sure you feel encouraged or okay, feeling comfortable to come up. This is a very comfortable space. We have some great Q&A, but I'm going to start inviting some people in. If you'd like to also do that, I'm pinging some people in. Just get started and takes a minute. My thumbs don't work as quick as they used to, I guess. Let's see here. We're almost there. Joe, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, getting caught up with things was a pretty very busy week. I spoke in front of the Pocono short-term rental conference, which was really great. There was about 200 people there. Attended several other events. Um, Submitted about a little over 5 million in refinances on debt service coverage ratio this week, somewhere between 6.875 and 7.125. But irony enough, I've also submitted about 3.5 million in value add, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, single family to four family and multifamily renovation loans, which kind of balances out because the lower amount will create the higher value down the road where it'll be more additional higher value refinances. But it doesn't seem to have slowed down. I think what clients are doing, they're just trying to get smarter with who they're surrounding themselves with rate, discussion, strategy. I think it's very pivotal in this time now where I think people want to work with somebody that has more transactional experience, if that makes any sense, to have deeper discussions. Like I've had deeper discussions with clients now more than ever. Like my calls are taking 15, 20 minutes. We're getting into the detail and the minutia of growth and what's going on with the subject property and other properties. I mean, how are you seeing that at the local RIA front?
Uh, no, listen, it looks like there's still deals being done out there, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like I would say that the sellers aren't softening up a little bit, but
Mhm.
maybe they're getting smacked into reality. I mean, I don't see the feeding frenzy that you saw over the last couple of years, but there still are buyers out there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I wouldn't say that it's great. I wouldn't say that it's horrible, right? Things are still moving, but they're sitting longer. The days on market have creeped up.
Yeah.
Definitely have creeped up.
Well, you ask any real estate agent, they think the world is just great, with their listings and everything. They just don't see a lot of the other factors. I don't know if you saw some of the announcements. Layoffs were at the highest since 2009. We still got unemployment numbers that have to come out, right? Rates came down a little bit. We're lowest in over a month, but upcoming inflation data casts a very critical vote of what's going on. But another thing that nobody's paying attention is the commercial bankruptcies that are at an all-time high since 2009. How do you think all this is going to impact, going into the presidential election? How are we going to get there in one piece is my question today. And how will that impact real estate? You know what I mean?
If I knew that answer, I'd be I'd be holding on to everything that I could, right? And I'd probably be a millionaire, if not a billionaire. But I mean, listen, just looking at what's going on, right? Jamie Dimon took took some of his money out of the stock. He's never sold money. He's never sold stock before. Warren Buffett's in the highest cash reserves ever. They're obviously planning for something to go on, whether it's big or it's mediocre. They're expecting a correction of some sort to happen. Looking into it, people can't keep up at this pace, right?
Yeah.
Layoffs are happening. The job reports, if you look at the revisions that from every year, right, they tell you, hey, great jobs report, and then they go and they revise the jobs report the following month, and it's now negative. But people aren't paying attention to that, right? They're just paying attention to the headlines. They were looking at a rate cut almost every FOMC session this year, and now they're saying, "Oh, we're not going to look at rate cuts until maybe May or June," and that had the market dip a little bit. So I mean, there's a lot going on. Of course, the layoffs show, right? There is a website, and skipping my mind now, that's just tracking layoffs that are happening, and the layoffs are there, which means people aren't making money, which means people can't spend money, and we're a debt society.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, there's problems out there, and it could take years to happen, right? Because this just doesn't happen overnight, right? It could take years to happen, right? And I think I forget which one it was, but it took. There was a bubble that busted, and it took about 2 or 3 years for it to actually hit the economy. So, I mean, the presidential election, I don't know, right? The Fed is not politicized, right? If you believe that one,
Yeah.
I'll tell you another, right? But you know, I would imagine this administration doesn't want anything to go south while they're running for election, right? And if they don't get elected, well, then they're just going to handle that bucket of poo to the next administration. But I don't know. I thought I saw Nikki Haley dropped out. I mean, I didn't see if she officially did.
She
so
did.
Now you're going to have two. Okay, so now you have two presidents. Either one that gets in, right, is on their last 4-year term, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happens. So, which is kind of scary, right? Because neither of them have a future.
Yeah.
Regardless of what side you're on, neither of them have a future.
So
it's just the benefit of the establishment at this point.
Yeah, and you brought up something very, very important. Okay, so rates came down a little bit based on some of the numbers that were coming out with inflation, job reports, bankruptcies, a mixed reaction to the mixed job reports. Okay, we're floating right under the national average for the last 40 years, around 6.85, 6.87. All right. Why would the Fed feel compelled to drop the Fed rate if the rate's already modified? Okay, so we have our next we have a Fed meeting coming up, right? Why would they feel compelled to lower the rate if the rate kind of lowered on its own nationally based on a conventional base and commercial base while all the numbers are still there? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And if they do, that means they're following media pressure or the government pressure, which they're not supposed to. They're supposed to stay neutral. Okay. So to me, I was at a Salem County bankers and brokers forum, which was it was actually surprisingly really nice. It was the first annual. Salem County was once one of the poorest counties in the country. Like it was like number 5 or 4. Now things are really happening down there. I mean, it's a complete turnaround, and it's a great area to buy for investors. it's really, I mean, I would get in now. I think you already missed a lot of the opportunity, but there's still a great opportunity in that Salem County market in New Jersey. Everything works from a numbers perspective, but there's a chief lending officer thinking that the Fed should lower the Fed rate. I mean, I don't know if he goes to shop for eggs or his wife does or whoever, but like the cost of living is still extremely high. So, like, where does he think it makes sense to lower the Fed rate? And he's in the banking industry, for that matter, where if we lower the rate, it's going to crush his little bank. This guy was a local bank. I mean, like, where's the logic behind it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of banks in trouble, right? There's a lot of banks in trouble, so they also have to take that in consideration because, right, we are on a fractional based banking system. So, which means if you go to the bank,
yeah,
and everybody pulled out their money, they don't have it. It's just numbers on a spreadsheet.
yeah.
For every, if I remember correctly, for every dollar you give the bank, they can loan out 10. And March 11th is supposed to be an important day because I think they're requiring the banks to now have a reserve. The banks used to have a 10% reserve.
Yeah.
Now I think they're running it up to what, 20 or 30%, Joe? I don't
Somewhere,
remember
I
which
think
one it is.
I think it's 20. I think I think they moved up 20%.
Right. So now they're going to go from a 0% reserve to a 20% reserve,
Mhm.
and that's going to crush some of the banks because what's that going to do? That's going to tighten up lending.
Yeah.
And then you compare that with the commercial real estate side of it that's going a little bit of a awry, right? And when we say commercial, right, we should define it, but we're talking more the strip malls and the office buildings, not really the apartment buildings. But that is going awry, and some of the apartment buildings too, because they have those. They didn't go to Joe Scarice for a loan, and they have those 5-year reset loans, uh, and they're finding themselves in trouble. I mean, there's people out there that are part of syndicates
Mhm.
that are getting pinged for money because they had to bring money to the table to refinance a loan because they were at that 5-year mark. So, I mean, there's other issues out there when you start looking at the commercial real estate, and it is going to impact the residential market. If people think that our economy runs in a vacuum, commercial real estate doesn't impact residential real estate. I mean, they said that in 2008 that it was going to be, I forget the term they used, but it was just going to be in that real estate sector, and it just destroyed everything. It destroyed everything globally because the banks stopped lending because we are a debt nation and we're a consumer nation. So when we stop buying, other countries start feeling the pain.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of how that goes. So it's going to creep over to the residential side. I'm absolutely confident that it will, and you need to prepare yourself. But this is the type of stuff that we talk about, right? And I mentioned in the RIA group that I run that you need to pay attention to what's going on around you. You need to know what's going on truly, not just in the real estate market, but in the market around you.
I think, I went to an event last night, and I took my wife with me in the evening, and it was interesting because the education or coaching or mentoring discussion came up, right? And some people feel that they need to be mentored. Some people think they need to be coached. I'm more in the fan of being coached than mentored. Maybe it's because of all my licenses that I feel I have in place that allow me to be. I feel like I need to be coached more than mentored because my mentoring is all the transactions I work on a day-to-day basis and guidelines I review and discussions I have with much smarter people on the other side of my financing world, and I'm focusing on one lane. You know, before we get deeper into our discussion on strategy to how do you enjoy your real estate business, where do you think mentoring and coaching should be, from an investor perspective? And maybe that's where there could be a new passion for a real estate professional, from a coaching perspective, from a mentoring perspective. Where do you think that happy middle is, Joe? And then we'll go into our discussion, and then we'll invite some moderators up or audience members up as well. Joe?
Yeah. So good question, Joe. Right, and mentorship and coaching, I wouldn't say is one and the same, but they're somewhat synonymous, right? A coach would look at you and talk to you and kind of not just make suggestions, but make, on a specific situation, but make more suggestions on your thought process and open your mind to things, right? And I think mentorship is somewhat similar, but also, hey, I'm experiencing this problem, and then the mentor would say, well, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that on a certain situation? But I think mentorship has been watered down these days to hand holding, and that's a new definition. I'm going to get a mentor, and aka someone's going to hold my hand. And I think that's when people are talking about mentorship. Hey, will you mentor me through this? Means there's no part in them figuring it out any step of the way. The responsibility of the mentor is to encourage the mentee to think in a situation, look at it in various different ways, and to let the mentee kind of figure it out on their own. But they don't want that anymore these days. They just want you to figure it out for them. Well, no, then if that's the case, then I just might as well just do the deal and step aside. The coach will talk to you on a grander scale, more of a 50,000 foot view, but that's not in that situation. Just talk to you on how you would counter it more philosophically. So when you encounter any situation, you can apply that mindset to it. So that's what I think the difference between a coach and a mentoring is.
Yeah.
And I think discussions like this that we're having is the happy medium, because we do a combination of both when we're having this. Anybody in the audience should get something out of the conversation that we just had over the last, 16 minutes. They should have got something to walk away with, because I've gotten some things just talking with you.
Yeah. I mean,
and anybody who closes their mind and thinks that they know everything, well, then they'll never be able to be helped ever.
Well, I'll give you a great example. I have some audience members that listen, whether it's Saturday or Sundays, Joe, and these gentlemen are contractors, very experienced electrician, plumbing, mechanical background, and they're going through their first renovation themselves, not for others, but for themselves. They really wanted to get comfortable with the exit strategy. So we actually got on a call, and I sent them the debt service worksheet, coverage worksheet, and we worked their numbers on that physical property. And I'm like, this deal works. Even with a 10-15% contingency, your cash on cash works, your DSCR works. Here's your numbers. You're using this vacancy rate, you're using this um, capital expenditure rate, you're using management, even you're using all these factors, and these numbers still work. And they work through, and they go, wow, this is great. They got very comfortable. I'm hopefully working on their construction piece as well. The numbers really look good. I said, listen, I want to do 10 of these with you guys. I don't want to just do this one. I want a 0 to the end of this. So we can do this over and over and over again. This is what I do all day. I don't sell watches. I don't have a chicken coop in the back of my house. I do loans. I give real estate advisory to the loans. So I think having those deeper discussions that just help people work through when you issue a term sheet, understanding the entrance, the exit strategy, I think that gives me keeps revigorating my passion from a coaching perspective, because I really enjoyed being coached over the years, in my lending space, and I've taken coaching personal development courses that I feel still apply to what I do on a day-to-day basis. That's why I stay so consistent. And that ties into what we're talking about today, right? Enjoying a real estate business involving a combination of strategies and mindset to enhance your enjoyment, right? Passion and purpose, finding aspects of the real estate industry that generally interest you, right? Whether it's working with clients, analyzing markets, designing properties, having a sense of purpose can make your work more fulfilling. Continuous learning, right? Stay updated on industries trends like what we're discussing, market dynamics, new technologies, learning keep things interesting and help adapt changes in the market. The third one is beyond important: networking. Building relationships with other people, professionals in the industry, from real estate agents, brokers, investors, developers. Networking not only expands your opportunities, but also adds a social element to your business. So to me, I like getting to every event early. Early is on time. On time is late. If the event starts at 6 o'clock, Joe, what time am I there typically? 5:30, 5:45?
5:30, yeah.
Yep. I want to see everybody as they're walking in. I want to be that gracious host or hostess without the responsibility of hosting that event. I want to be on time early. Diversification, exploring different aspects of real estate, such as residential, commercial, or investment properties. Diversifying your portfolio can keep your work varied and exciting. So I work on single family through four family, 5 through 25 units, mixed use. I look at fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, unsecured business lines of credit. I don't do restaurant loans. I send that to somebody that's all they do. I mean, like I know what my lane is. Okay. I know exactly what I'm focusing on, right? I'm not trying to do 100 different things. Everything ties in together. Everything crosses over the fabric. The client-centric approach as well, focusing on building meaningful connections with your clients, understanding their needs. Like this podcast with live on video and live here in audio, I'm connecting with people, right? I'm trying to help them find and identify their dream and achieving their investment goals. And it's deeply rewarding, believe me. I feel great about it when I hear all the good stuff that happens, right? There's always going to be bad things, but there's always more. To me, I hope there's always more good things. Creativity, looking for opportunities to innovate things outside the box, where it's finding unique properties or developing creative marketing strategies, creating like add a sense of excitement to your business. Like with what Yardell and I do here, Joe, right? We were excited about getting the YouTube live up and running and the Facebook live up and running. And hey, Yardell, do we have the right equipment? What do I need to invest in to make this a better social media bucket for us? How do we make ourselves look better, look correct, and look really professional where people find us, insightful, right? Or appealing to go to. So, it's something I didn't even notice. We had over 500 downloads in the past week on all our episodes. We're like at 17 or 18 episodes now. I mean, that's really impressive if you think about it. We have zero marketing budget other than what we're doing from email blasting and presence online. We're not investing into any ads, which we're going to do this month coming up. I wanted to give myself a little more time in just getting things working. I wanted to get to about 20 episodes, and I wanted to get to the April event in Philadelphia as well, which we'll conduct live from there. But we're doing it. We're eating the elephant one bite at a time. And another very important thing is work-life balance. Maintaining a healthy balance between work and personal life, taking time for yourself and pursuing hobbies outside of work and prevent burnout and help you stay energized and engaged in your business. I go to the gym every day for an hour. My wife and I, every day, 7 days a week. There's no day off. Okay. I enjoy it. Do I want to be there every day? No. I think it sucks sometimes. I think it's terrible some days. I'm 54 years old. Things catch up with you. But I could tell you by me doing this in a consistent manner, by me doing this for an hour every day, 7 days a week on a consistent basis, I'm doing more than 90% of the people around me, and I will eat them alive in my day. Okay. And celebrating successes. Take time to acknowledge and celebrate your achievements, whether it's closing a deal, reaching a milestone, receiving positive feedback from clients. Recognizing your successes can boost morale and motivate you to keep striving for more. So when I have a closing, I would just call people. I don't really post that. That's not my style. I've never posted a closing in the sense of like outright individual. I call them, I thank them. Is there something I can do? Is there anything else I can do for them? I answer all their questions in between, or they call me after the closing and tell me, hey, you suck. You're great. This is what we could have done better. Okay, fine. That's fine. I'll take constructive as well. By implementing some of these strategies, fostering a positive mindset, you can enhance your enjoyment of the real estate business and fulfillment in your work. Joe, your thoughts to this? Because I know this is more of a part-time thing, and then we'll go to Justin as well.
Yeah, listen, even though it's a part-time thing, this is like a labor of love to me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, case in point, like the condo that I just purchased, I purchased it for less than fair market value. You know, you walk in and you just see some of us landlords are not nice people, right, to our tenants, and I think we lose the perspective that there are people that are living in the units that we own, and you know the carpet is shredded. You know, some of the appliances don't work. They're not working correctly. Um, the water heater is about to burst, and you just look at it. You're like, you know, okay, I get that you want to stretch every dollar and every penny that you can out of the place, but there's a quality of life that you need to give your tenant, especially when the tenant's been living there for 13 years. So I purchased the condo, and I asked the tenant that's there, and I said, hey, if you had three things that you wanted to replace, which I already knew what the one thing was, right? The carpeting, which I'm prepared to do. What would you like? She goes, I just want the carpet replaced. It's been like this for the last 5 years. It's shredded. It looks horrible. I can't have company here. You know, I paid my rent on time, and I just want this done. And I was like, okay. I said, would you want to pick out the color of the new flooring when I get it? I'll have it done in the next couple of months. Would you would you pick out the color of the flooring? She goes, you'll allow me to do that? You know, and the look of joy in her eyes was really nice, right? And I was like, that's kind of why I do it, right? I want to put a good name for the landlords out there, right? That are doing their work and make people happy. At the end of the day, it is a little bit of a hospitality and customer service type thing, and that's what I do it for, right? We could always talk about financial freedom and fortune and you know rubbing your cocoa butter on your belly at the beach and tenants are paying you to do it, but I mean that's not why I do it, right? And we, you know, when you start talking about strategies, right? One thing that one of my bosses told me, my full-time job says, bad news doesn't get better with time. And the same thing happens with things going on in a property. A little thing doesn't get better with time. It doesn't just go away. It'll get worse and worse until you have a major disaster on your hands. So, you know, as things happen, get them fixed,
Yeah.
right? And you'll avoid those big problems and the heavy cost and the emergency things that come to it. So you know, and avoids those stressful situations. Like I said, the water heater is going to burst, right? I see that it's 15 years old, right? The lifespan is usually on average 10 years, right? And then we have a huge flood on our hands. So I'm going to let that sit for about 6 months, and then I'm going to have it replaced. Um, and because I just bought the place and I want the cash flow to come in and pay for that. So I'm going to be proactive on some things. Um, you know, I'm going to buy the PSE&G locally. PSE&G, I forget what they're the electric and gas company. I'm going to buy the worry-free contract.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I said, that's what I do. Right? Buy the worry-free contract. It's $30 a month for me. But if something happens with your heater, your AC, they come and they fix it within 24 hours.
Yeah.
They'll have someone out here. And she was just that alone, right? Was she was happy as well. You know, don't call me, call them, and I have immediate repair service scheduled to come out. And you know, that's a service that you put, and that kind of gives me joy, right? Making them happy. You know, I love the rent check coming in every month, but that rent check, I'm also a firm believer if you do right by people, they'll do right by you. And by making people happy, I mean, they're going to take care of your place. Um, and I said this multiple times. So kind of the strategy, just keep on top of things, right? If you let things fester, they become bigger problems.
Well, yeah, I 100% agree with you, Joe, because, you know, from a lending perspective, news, whether it's bad or good, you need to provide it as quickly as possible. But there's certain ways of providing it, Joe. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I always like to document it and then call. The call is a lot easier once it's documented, even though it, you know, it's like you're pulling the Band-Aid off. Okay. Like I have some calls I have to make on Monday. I'm not going to call that individual Friday afternoon at 6 o'clock to give them like news, which could be bad for them. Okay. I have news that lets somebody know that I can't complete their loan to a certain date because of the way that their lease is structured. They kind of not told the truth, but it's okay. I mean, we're going to get through it. And then I have another one where we used they provided appraisal so I could recertify the appraisal. We looked at it. I mean, at the end of the day, it looked like dog shit. You know what I mean? So we deducted the value because the appraiser that did it wasn't that strong of an appraisal completed. So we had to bring back the value a little bit because once I looked at it, it looked like my nephew put it together, who's in high school. You know what I mean? So I have to give that news, but I'm not going to say it like that. I'm going to say it in a nice way. Hey, listen, we don't have that value. This is where we're at. If you don't like this value, we can order a whole entirely new appraisal. We went through committee, okay, and here's the news. The other individual, hey, listen, this lease is not signed where it doesn't, the person's not even going to be living in the unit till X date. Let's look at it then. Rates are not going to change. If they change in any way, they're changing in your favor right now. So you got to, when you're giving somebody some bad news, you try to give them a spoonful of sugar at the same time and to sweeten it a little bit, the flavor. But I always feel like now I document it and then I call because it's documented, it's memorialized, and you really need to be committed to telling the truth as immediate as possible. I find in this real estate industry, you got to give the news, whether it's bad or good, in a set tone, and I think that's why I enjoy the commercial lending space more so than the residential space where owner occupied because I think it's too personal. It gets very emotional. Here, it's business. Here's the information. This is what we can do. This is what we can't do. These are some of the lanes of strategy and creativity we can look at. But at the end of the day, this is what we're looking at. Like I have to have a discussion with a lot of people telling them, and listen, you're being too aggressive on your renovation money based on the purchase price. You need to either find another transaction, curb that renovation, partner with somebody that has experience that can facilitate that deal, right? I mean, Joe, I'm sure a lot of people come to you for partnerships because you're already 6+ properties deep, right? You already have been a landlord. You have the credit, you have the cash reserves. So, people come. I mean, I would think more people would want to come to you from a joint venture perspective because you could make them look good on that first or second or third transaction to get them up and running. Thoughts before we go to Justin?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've had a couple of people come up in JV with me that I've turned down. Right, number one, the deal didn't make sense, and I saw that it was going to be a lot more work than it was be work for me. Right, I mean, and I wouldn't be able to contribute the time needed. Right, so it wouldn't have been fair to that newbie. Um, I also met someone who owns a bunch of commercial properties in North Carolina, and this was about 3 weeks ago. And and he owns a bus company. And I announced that I had 5 with one under contract. Now I have 6 with one under contract again. So number 7 soon to be in the next couple of months. That's going to be a little bit of a delayed closing. So and he came up to me and said, I could analyze a commercial property like nobody's business. Single family homes scare me. Can you help me with a single family home analysis? I was like, sure. It's a no-brainer for me. Can you teach me how to do commercial real estate? And he's like, absolutely. So we exchange numbers, and in the next couple of months we'll get together and we'll share. Um, we'll trade notes back and forth. But I mean, that's also some of the strategies that 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 help you enjoy your real estate business. Going back to the topic, right? I mean, it's about the relationships that you build that turn into friendships. I mean, you know, I jokingly, reluctantly, admit that we're friends, right? And we go out to dinner and we share some personal time together. But you know, your case in point, your business relationship that turned into a friendship, and and regardless of judgment, good or bad at the time on either of our behalf, right? It's case in point, right? I mean, I'm on here with you because I'm not selling anything, right? I'm an investor. I want to help people, and and I respect you, and I know what you do, and I also look at my name as my and my reputation is everything, and I'm putting, although I'm not, hundreds of units, I'm putting my name behind you and alongside you because I know the person that you are. If I didn't know you from a hole in the wall, I wouldn't be on here, right? And wouldn't be on here sharing with the audience. So, especially recorded and admitting that we're friends, right? I don't use that term lightly, but I mean, I had an investor that I met through a rehab, built relationships, built a friendship, and then needed help on a rehab, $40,000, and I loaned it to him on a handshake. Other people like, oh my God, you barely know the person. You only know him for a year. You gave him 40,000. Your name's not on the title. What if he runs away? Well, I know where he lives, right? And we'll take it as that step goes. But my handshake and his handshake, it's, at least as my feel, is gold. And you're only as good as your work in this world. Um, that's how they did it back in ancient times. And no matter how many pieces of paper that you sign, that you have title to the property and all that other stuff, by the time you get into the legal matters of things, I mean, it still gets messy, and you can still lose your money. And then you lost the money that you spent on the attorney to get your money back. So, I mean, yeah, I did that, and that loan was successful. Um, so like I said, the strategies, there's a lot of them, there's spoken and unspoken, that bring you back to where you enjoy your real estate business. Listen, does that mean that every day is a walk in the park, like you mentioned, Joe? No. It's a love-hate relationship with real estate sometimes with me, right? There's days that I love it, and there's days that I hate it. And I don't hate it just because I get a phone call from a tenant saying, hey, I'm moving out, or hey, something broke. No, actually, when something breaks and I'm able to get it done while I'm in a different state, and it's completed and paid, I look at that as like, hey, challenge met, accepted and met, and the tenant's happy. I actually hate it when the paperwork time comes, right? Like, I sit down every Saturday morning, paying the bills, going through my numbers, right? I just put another condo on the portfolio. So now I need to make sure that all that paperwork is set, everything is scanned and uploaded online. Um, and and that's where I start saying, what the hell did I do, right? Um, so that's the love hate relationship. But there's many strategies that you can employ to enjoy your real estate business, and these are just some of the key ones. And a lot of relationships, right, Joe? I've come
Yeah.
across headaches.
Mm-hmm.
I've come across headaches, right? And when you feel that you're in a situation alone, right? And I've called you on real estate and personal matters, right? Your friends will help you get through it, right? They may not be in the fight with you, but at least you have a cheerleader on your sidelines that's saying, "Hey, this is what I would do. This is it." And there's friendship, and there's genuine interest in that. It doesn't mean that you have to pay $1 for that advice, right? There's genuine interest in that person has for your success because of your friendship, because they care about you, and that's where the enjoyment comes out, right? You build that. You call it a team, I call it friends, right? Because the team is more professional, right? The attorney, I'm never going to call and talk to him about personal matters like I do with you, Joe. And 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 that's where the enjoyment comes out. Not only did I build this empire, but I also built these great friendships I that are going to be lifelong, right?
Joe, I don't want you to have to disclose that you have pictures of me all over your house. So I want to make sure you keep that between you and I. I know you have posters of pictures of me all over, but I appreciate that. Um, I'm just joking with you. Well, Joe, I really appreciate what you outpoured because it ties into a lot of people's concerns as a real estate professional. You're not an agent, you're not a banker, you're not a title agent. You're just a W-2 guy that owns a bunch of investment properties, part of a REIA group, part of a couple other investor groups, and you're just being you. And a lot of people just want to be just themselves. You know what I mean? But it all starts with conducting proper market research, and identifying your niche, developing a business plan, and setting financial goals, obtaining necessary education, and then, if need be, licensure, getting your license if it makes sense, and having a discussion with somebody, letting to understand what the repercussions of getting that, having that license, right? What does that do? What is it? Is that a roadblock? Is that a positive thing? Who do you want to kind of associate your license and put that shingle on their roof with? And building a professional networking and marketing yourself. Like I have literally a stack of cards right here that are only worth as much as I follow up with those individuals and give a call to each one of those guys and gals. Email, phone call, connect on LinkedIn, etc. Put them in my database, CRM. It's only worth my elbow grease and getting that up and running. And understanding your business costs and securing funding. Okay, so that's another thing. You have to weigh out the cost benefit relationship of anything that you're going to put money into, whether it's membership, attendance, okay, attending an event. You got to evaluate. Like I look at my calendar every single day, and there's 3 events to go to. Which one is going to maximize my time and the cost benefit relationship? Which event is going to make sense for me to invest into, right? I mean, does it make sense? I mean, I traveled to 30 cities this past year. Does it make sense to stay local, regional, or go national? I don't know. I mean, I debate about that every day. Okay. And I sit down with my executive director. Hey, this event looks cost benefit. I'm going to go to it. Okay. He goes, we'll pay for it if you think it makes sense. But I see some other events where they want a vendor space and 700 people are coming and they want $5,000. No, that's not going to happen because now I'm paying for their event to go on. I'm not paying for myself to go there. That's not even including my travel. So you got to weigh out the cost benefit relationship of anything you invest into as a vendor as well. And developing a brand and creating a website is so important. And that's where it comes back to your Adele Perkins at Perkatech. We developed this website, creativebirdstrategies.com, which leads into our podcast, which leads into all type of other video work that we do. I'm also rolling out my own website, josephvscarice.com. It's coming out. It should be out in the next week or so. We're having a little struggle with Google, of course, but they're a big 800-pound gorilla. But I think we'll get through that. And what it does, it sets a standard, a line in the sand. Hey, this is who I am. This is my why. This is how you can connect with me. How many times I try to reach out to somebody, I can't find their phone number. I can't find anything on. I got to Google search. I got to go on their LinkedIn. They don't even have a phone number on there. I'm like, where are these people? Why can't I find their number? Why can't I get in touch with these people? And they're in the profession. They make it so difficult and so layered. I don't get it. You need to be easily found, good, bad, or indifferent. Justin, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to strategizing to enjoy your real estate business.
Good morning, man. Been a real good conversation with Mr. Martella, and the have given us some good points to chew on. Well, one of the things I will say, Mr. Joseph, speaking on is your circle are the people you kind of touch base with, and what I find the gem in these conversations and the conversations you have with your team or your friends who are also professionals, either they have enough perspective on whatever your issue is to help you out. I find that the gem in that conversation and any general about obstacles when we share our experiences is just what we learn on how to maneuver. I think that's like the key thing, just learning things from what I know. Just to give an example, what I know about the skills trade, right? And I'm a little bit of a handyman myself. You learn how to use a screwdriver or a flathead screwdriver or any kind of screwdriver and to solve a multitude of problems. And that only comes from experience. You don't show up your first day and know all the tricks to the trade. You don't show up your first day and know, how to, do the things that the guy who's been there 20 years can do. But if you go and have some of those conversations with the guy who's been there 20 years, It may have taken him 15 years to learn because he had to learn it on his own. But if you have enough conversations with him, you can pick up on that knowledge base within a year or two. And that can excel your progress. And another thing that I feel is really empowering or about these moments and these conversations is your knowledge base gives you the confidence. I've had some really low confidence moments in the past 2 years, right? Or 2.5 years dealing with these situations that I'm coming out of. But the more I talk to, and I love to call them this, it's a compliment when I refer to you guys like this, but my gray haired friends, when I talk to them and they share their experiences and their obstacles that they've made it through, it shows me to get on the other side of progress. My only option is to get through it, figure out what I need to do, reach to people. Earlier in the conversation, you guys were mentioning how people want the mentors to do it for them. That's not how it works. Yeah. Your mentors are going to probe you. They're going to guide you. They're going to tell you, oh, yeah, well, maybe you way and give you some information on that. But it's up to you to execute on that. It's up to you to make sure you meet the deadlines and meet the qualifications for that, and so forth. So I think it's very, that's where you build your strength and confidence and your knowledge base and knowing what to do in this situation and that, right? You communicate with people, and there are a bunch of ways to do that in this industry, in RIAs, in rooms like this, podcasts like this, right? That are genuine. This is a very raw room and a very raw podcast because we're having open conversations. So I think that adds a much more potent element to it because we don't really filter what we say. We genuinely give our experiences and the things that we've learned, right, to become better real estate professionals. So and another thing is these things are being recorded throughout our journey. So, I can attest to that all three of us on the stage right now have had moments of growth that I've been there to witness for, and that right there is something that pushes me forward and keeps me consistent here and keeps me consistent in what I'm doing to push myself to clean up whatever it is I was dragging on or lagging on and be better. And there is, I have, written down my goals and the things and the places that I want to be. Right. Just this week, I've made some adjustments to how I want to repurpose my next step. Right. And so as I do that, as I represent myself, um, and the services that I want to provide, taking all of these things and all of these lessons into consideration to make this next step smoother, that I can something that a phase that I can step into with all the confidence that I need to, and making sure that I stay connected so that I can, put my best foot forward and use other people's experiences and knowledge base, right, to leverage, who I am and being my best. So that's my thoughts, man, this morning.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Love it. I love it, Justin. And we're not like any other house here on Clubhouse. I'm going to tell you that for a fact. We're the only Clubhouse house that has their own podcast. We're the only house that have our own national events. We're the only Clubhouse house that has legitimate, vetted sponsors. We're the only house that offers educational tools complementary to their followers and the registrants to this group. Okay, that's a fact. These are all bullet point facts. I don't need to concern myself with any other groups. I'm only on here on Saturdays and Sundays, 8 a.m. and Sundays 9:30 a.m. I don't need to be in. I mean, I might pop in once in a while just to see what craziness is going on during the week, but I'm very consistent in what I do. I used to jump around in a couple groups. You know what? This is my group. This is my house. This is where you'll find me. If you want to find me outside, you can connect with me on LinkedIn which I hope everybody here is connected with me on LinkedIn. Please connect with me. Okay. 2, you have my contact number. 3, you have my personal email. 4, my response time. Customer service has kind of got a little tarnished during COVID and now post-COVID. There's less expectation of quality customer service, and I think it's a shame because I think whether you're the rookie investor or seasoned vet, the goal of customer service in real estate is for people to walk away happy and coming back for more. Okay, done right, real estate customer service will assist the investor or the service provider in building that trust, creating that brand loyalty, positive reputation, as well as producing a endless amount of real estate referrals. I thrive off of the introduction by someone. One, I want to make sure I thank them for that introduction, right? But 2, I also want to recognize them on completing that introduction with a success discussion, right? I want to make sure that's important to me. And that should be important to you as a real estate professional. You know how many phone calls I make a week where people don't return my phone call? Think about that. And that's okay. It's a 2-call rule. I don't look for 3 strikes in my world. I call, I might throw a text, and then I might do one more call because it's in my inbox. After that, it goes into a folder. I take their information, I throw it into my CRM. If they don't have the time to call me back, there's nothing I can do. I can't drag and scream at them. There's nothing I can do. I'll try to find them on LinkedIn and connect with them on there. It's funny, irony enough, I got a phone call and I put a loan together for a client yesterday. And I met him 2 years ago at a RIA that I spoke at. I spoke at the Ohio RIA at the Great Wolf Lodge in Columbus, Ohio. And it was like, hey, man, I haven't talked to you in 2 years. I get your email distributions. I can connect with you on LinkedIn. Can I get a quote on a rate? Done. Sent it to him. He signed the term sheet. Appraisal ordered. That was 24 months ago. He still felt compelled to reach out to me, have a discussion. I picked up on the second ring. He goes, you got a couple minutes? Absolutely. Let's walk it through. We put it all together. That's where customer service, whoever he tried calling didn't call him back or didn't answer the call. I was there. And if you're really going to separate yourself to enjoying the real estate business, leave a voicemail to somebody. Don't just call and just hang up, because I get 50 calls a day. Do you think I see all my calls that are coming in? Absolutely not. It's numerically impossible. Okay? I'm one person. I do have processing department that reports to me, and underwriting department that reports to me, but guess what? I'm a human being just like anybody else. Okay? And you need to be strategic. Cost benefit relationship, who you want to surround yourself with. Why do you want to surround yourself with these individuals? What type of events do you want to surround yourself in? I was at an event last night, a really nice group of guys that run an event. How do you identify opportunities in real estate? And they were talking about all these other opportunities. I gave them bullet point other opportunities that they didn't think about. And they're like, wow. The one guy comes up to me after, he goes, man, I'm gonna apply that as soon as I get home. Thank you. No problem. If you have any other questions, here's my card. Call me. We could have a strategy discussion. Let me know. Let's get into it, right? Customer service is one of the top strategies in enjoying your real estate business. That's where the passion comes from, right? You want to enhance the experience, right? Being professional when approaching, whether it's clients or like-minded individuals. When I go to an event, I go up to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Joe Scarice. I'm with Lendmark Capital. I'm a direct private lender in the asset-based lending space, long and short-term lending options. This is my card. Let me know if I can be of any help. Do you have a card? No? Hey, do you mind texting me your full name and your email? I'll send you a follow-up of who I am, what I do. I'll connect with you on LinkedIn, and let's stay in touch with each other. Oh, okay, sure. And then they text me right there and then, and I send it right to my email, and I follow through and follow up. Find a specialty that you enjoy, right? Build a very consistent, formidable online presence. Get Google on your business. Get your Google business set up too as well, right? Invest in branding. We're looking right now at t-shirts and hats and coffee cups for the podcast. We're looking into it. We're revisiting it. I just wanted to give it a little more time. I want to brand it a little more, right? Just moving things around, and then build that network and a connection. Hold your own event. This is something we also offer. We offer a 3-credit CE course nationwide for licensed real estate agents to navigate through asset-based lending. I come out, whatever state it is, and I provide a 3-credit CE course for licensed real estate agents. Is that a good event for you to be the host or hostess of in your market? Does that separate you from everybody else? Right? I want you to be that goldfish that goes the other way instead of the school, right? You want to be that lion or that wolf in the pack that's leading, right? So, what separates you? Extending something that's unique, that's going to create a like-minded surrounding group of people that you want to surround yourself with, right? So we're the only house and podcast that offers a 3-credit CE course nationwide on asset-based lending, direct private lending, anywhere. There's nobody else that does it. I'm the one that wrote the module, so I'm the only one that has this class right now for the time being till it gets spawned out there. But right now, I'm the only one that offers this, and it's in for all 50 states. So if this is an idea for maybe your investor group meeting, whether it's for your real estate association, I come out complimentary, teach the course, provide insight to real estate agents, and you can invite investors as well. There's nothing wrong with inviting investors to understand what real estate agents need to understand too as well. That's enjoyment to me. That's passion. You need to feel great about what you're doing. You need to be great about returning all calls and emails, having availability to talk with people, making the time, be consistent, be continuous. Having professional pictures, having a professional voice message, maybe looking at virtual assistants, maybe sitting down with a social media strategist such as Yardell Perkins at Perkatech. That might be an idea to kind of see how to enhance your brand. Do you make sense when somebody Google searches you? How's your LinkedIn profile look? Right? There's so many times I look up real estate agents. One, they don't even have a completed LinkedIn profile. Two, they don't even have a picture on it. Three, it's from like 3 companies ago. Guys and gals, it's not all about Facebook, believe me. It's about being out there, consistency and continuous in your brand. I think people like, oh my gosh, you've been lending for 20, how many years? They don't even know who I work for. They just know that I'm a lender. I've gotten to the point where I'm just a lender. On my website's going to be Joseph V. Scarice. Yeah, there'll be a logo on there that says, part of Lenmark and all that, and that's great. And I think that's important. But I could put XYZ Incorporated, and people will still call me for lending. Okay, they're going to call me for my phone is always going to call for lending and real estate related items. I've created that very distinct possibility for myself in an ongoing manner. People want to sit around me. I want to sit around them and discuss strategy because I enjoy this business. I really do. Is there, like Joe said, is there bad days and good days? Absolutely. They're sometimes horrendous days. But I don't post it on Facebook and let people know that I'm having a bad day. It's none of anybody's business. It's my own. Okay, keep it to yourself. Breathe it in and breathe it out through your heart, and you'll be just a lot better. Joe, any final thoughts to our discussion with Justin and myself and you? Any final thoughts to strategies to enjoying your real estate business?
No, listen, this is an amazing discussion. I want to point out none of this is scripted, right? I mean, you text me to wake up to make sure that I'm up to get on here and talk almost every Saturday and Sunday. Sometimes I start off a little cold, half awake. And none of this is scripted. This is really conversation from the heart, conversation from experience, from all the moderators that are up there, and talking and we have someone that keeps on putting great comments, Sherry, great comments in the chat, and don't be scared to come up here.
Yeah.
There's nothing about stage fright, right? I mean, you can hide your picture and nobody will ever know who it is that's talking, right? Disguise your voice. I understand the fear of public speaking, but the value is in the open conversations that we are having here, and everybody's just listening to. Right? It's not just one topic that is just going that is scripted like some podcasts are. Like, Joe, you don't know what questions you're going to get from the audience. You don't know what I'm going to throw out. Right? You and I don't talk days or minutes before this conversation. You don't know what I'm going to say, and I could be a little crazy at times. I'll admit my faults, but you don't know what that's going to be, and you don't know where the conversation is going to go. And the fact that it's unscripted and the fact that it's genuine, I really think that's where the value comes in. Just for the members out there, be passionate about your business. Just don't go through the hurdles. I mean, if if you have fears about getting involved in real estate, talk to someone who's in it. Talk about your fears. Talk about the concerns. But if you think that you're going to invest in real estate and you're going to sit back and there's going to be absolutely nothing for you to do, even if you have a property manager, you're going to get phone calls. You're going to have decisions that need to be made. And there's ways to prepare for that to make you feel confident in your decision. And Justin said that too, right? Confidence is absolute key. And you take that approach, and the way you build confidence is through exercising, right? What would go through, and I mentioned, I think last week, like a tabletop exercise, sitting down at the table, or you could have your friend, hey, that rent. Hey, I want you to just call me at some random time unexpectedly and tell me that there's a problem at one of my rentals, and then just run through the process in your head, right? So you have that, and so you have that experience, and that fear factor goes away. And once that fear goes away, you start liking what it is that you do. Joe, I'm sure when you wrote your first couple of loans, there was a nervousness in your voice, right? Your voice was crackling when you were talking to your first customer, right? The voice was crackling when you were picking up the phone and calling someone. There was an intimidation factor when you got that first card of the realtor and you were cold calling them, right? There's a fear factor, but now it's a labor of love because you've been through that hurdle, right? And someone may have helped walk you through that hurdle, right? But it goes into enjoyment, right? Because you truly enjoy what you do, and it shows.
Thank you, Joseph. And listen, I'm going to go over this again. We have some great opportunities that no other house here on Clubhouse provides. One, we have a live podcast. Okay, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple, it's on Amazon, it's on YouTube Live, it's on Facebook Live. We have educational events throughout the country. We have one going on right now in Denver. We're going to have another one on April 13th in Philadelphia. We have another one in LA. We have also smaller groups that we provide as well. We provide educational tools for you to be a better real estate professional. We also have an opportunity for you to be podcasted and branded with a podcast with your business. And now we're offering a 3-credit CE course that is provided nationwide for licensed real estate agents in every state in the country, navigating asset-based lending, which I come out and fly out and provide the course complimentary, whether to your association, your investor group, for licensed real estate agents and investors to attend and collaborate with, hopefully, investor-friendly real estate agents. We're here every Saturday morning, 8 a.m., every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. with great mods, great discussions. It's always a different discussion every Saturday and Sunday. And like I said, my contact information is here. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. And I want to thank again our sponsors, Yardell Perkins of Perkatech, our social media strategist, as I call him, the Oz behind the drape. Abstract National, our nationwide title company. MB Capital, your unsecured business line of credit lender of choice. Realty 411 with Linda Pelagas, a national publication of real estate. And Lendmark Capital, I'm national loan advisor and head of origination for Lendmark on the retail side, offering rental loans, fixed-to-rent loans, fixed-to-flip loans, multifamily, mixed use, new construction, blanket loans in all 50 states. So I want to thank everybody this morning. It was a great discussion. and we'll be back here tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with another great subject. But my quote this morning: you deserve to be happy, not tired, not hurt, not stressed, just happy. Everybody have a great Saturday. I'll be ending the room and ending the podcast in the next 30 seconds. And thank you.